Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. In those Vaikuntha planets, there are many forests, which are very auspicious. In those forests, the trees are desire trees. And in all seasons, they are filled with flowers and fruits. Because everything in the Vaikuntha planets is spiritual and personal. Purport. In the Vaikuntha planets, the land, the trees, the fruits and flowers, and the cows, everything is completely spiritual and personal. The trees are desire trees. On this material planet, the trees can produce fruits and flowers according to the order of material energy. But in the Vaikuntha planets, the trees, the land, the residents, and the animals are all spiritual. There is no difference between the tree and the animal or the animal and the man. Here the word murtimat indicates that everything has a spiritual form. Formlessness is conceived by the impersonalists. As conceived by the impersonalists is refuted in this verse. In the Vaikuntha planets, although everything is spiritual, everything has a particular form. The trees and the men have form, and because all of them, although differently formed, are spiritual, there is no difference between them. Yatra naishriya sangnama vanankama dugair drumai sarvato shrivir vibrajat kaivalyam iva murtimat. In those Vaikuntha planets, there are many forests which are very auspicious. In those forests, the trees are desire trees, and in all seasons they're filled with flowers and fruits, because everything in the Vaikuntha planets is spiritual and personal. Om Ajnanatimarandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamhayam Dadati Svapadantikam Jayasi Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat kripadamaham vande Sri Gurudinotaranam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Ishwaram Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna. So here Lord Brahma is giving a description of the kingdom of God, and he is giving us a clear vision of what is taking place in the Vaikuntha planets. This is beyond this universe. It is another dimension. So we might question, why can Lord Brahma tell us all of this? Tene Brahma Hridayadi Kavaye, Muyanti Atsuraya, Tejo Vari, and so on. Lord Brahma had direct instructions. He had direct darshan of Krishna, and Krishna told him, in essence, in a nutshell, the Bhagavatam. So he gave him this vision of the spiritual world. That's why Brahma can share this vision with us. And here he's speaking about the different forests. Not just any type of forest, but forests which are very auspicious. We just came down from Bergen, and we saw a lot of trees. We saw a lot of forests, and a lot of lakes, and a lot of other things. Yet those forests were not auspicious. Why they're not auspicious? Because no fruits, no flowers. They're just good for firewood, or maybe for making paper, but not really suitable for fruits and flowers. So they're not very auspicious for that sense. But these desire trees, kalpavrikshas, chintamani prakarasadma sukalpavriksha. What is a kalpavriksha? What is a desire tree? It is a tree that can fulfill all your desires. Have you ever seen such a tree? What about vanchakalpatarubhyascha, kripasindubhyevacha, patitanam pavanebhyo, vaishnavebhyo namo namaha? Like you're in the spiritual world, you're surrounded by desire trees, you got to be careful because whichever desire you have, poof, there it is. Oh, oops, Can we retract that? Just like somebody who went to Vrindavan and he was in the forest and he was thinking, oh, what if a tiger comes and eats me? Ah! Because he had that desire. So boom, there was the tiger and he was gone. Of course, you can say right place, right time. So no problem, right? Everything was fine. So are we aware of our desires? Are we aware of our desires? Not really, To some extent. We may think, but then if we dig a little deeper and we see, okay, what's there? There may be different layers. There may be different types of desires. So, these desire trees can fulfill all desires. In this world, a tree can only give a certain type of fruit or flower, but in the spiritual world, that is not the case. You can go to a desire tree and you can get samosas or gulab jamuns, because it's a desire tree. It can give you whatever you want. Yet the devotees, they are simply looking how to serve Krishna, how to give pleasure to Krishna. So they're not abusing, they're not using these desire trees like, the magic wand or, a free-for-all, but they're engaging everything in Krishna's service, following the Ishavasyan principle, which is, what is the Ishavasyan principle? Everything's owned by the Lord, everything's for the pleasure of the Lord, so thus, we'll only take our quota, we'll only take what we can engage in the service of the Lord. Just like here, we're in the Lord's temple, and it's a beautiful temple. Have you noticed how beautiful this temple is? It's amazing, especially if you come from the forest, It's like, wow, what happened here, And so, Sarva Kama Dugamahi, this is a wish-fulfilling cow. It fulfills all your desires. But what are my desires? A residency card, a work permit, some power, some position, a monthly salary, some fame, some followers, some money. What are my desires? There's 4 different Chatur Vijabhajante Mam, Janak Sukriti Norjuna, Arto Jigyasur Gyanis Cha Bharatar Shaba. There are 4 kinds of pious people who approach the Lord, and they're pious. They're good people. Why? Because they approach the Lord. But their attitude is, okay, I'm in distress, okay, I need money, or I'm a little curious, or actually, I want some knowledge. So any reason why to approach the Lord is a good reason. Anything that gets you here is a good reason. And as we know, people come here for different types of reasons. It's good enough to come here, but why is it not good enough to stay here? Because as soon as our desire is fulfilled, we think, oh, okay, I've achieved. Just like nowadays, people think initiation is my goal. Have you heard of that one? I want to get initiated. I want to be part of the club. I want to get a cool name, and I want to be part of the in circle. But then what happens after initiation? Is there a life after initiation? All of a sudden, we don't see them anymore. All of a sudden, they're not really so interested anymore. Even if their own guru comes, they don't attend class. They're not really anxious to serve the deity or to engage in preaching. Why is that? Because initiation was the goal. And when you think you have achieved your goal, then what else is there to achieve? So, it's important to be aware of one's desires and to regularly update your desires. Are you updating your apps? Sridhar? Are you updating your apps? Usually yes. Why? Because if you don't do that, stuff doesn't work so well, right? Things don't comply. They don't work so well anymore. Just like what worked for us as a small child didn't work so well as a teenager. What worked as a teenager didn't work so well as an adult. And what worked as an adult, now as a devotee or as a senior citizen, doesn't work so well anymore. Why? Because more is expected. So we have to update our desires. How do we do that? Sadhu Sangha Sarva Shastra Koi Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha Sarva Siddhi Hoy. We associate with the sadhus, the ones who are engaged in devotional service, in Sat. Satam Prasanga Mamavirya Samvido Bhavanti Rit Karana Rasayana Kata Jajoshanat Ashu Apavarga Vartmani Shraddha Ratir Bhaktir Anukramishyati. When we engage in this process, this ninefold Nava Anga Bhakti, and we engage in association with devotees, have you noticed how it leaves an indelible impression on you? You think like, wow, how wonderful this person is worshiping the deity, or how dedicated this person is cooking, or who keeps this place running, or amazing, who wrote all these books, who distributes them. I think I can do a little better. I think I can do a little more for Krishna. Have you ever had those thoughts? Those are good thoughts. But if I'm just in my own little space, then I might think, hey, I'm doing pretty good, like I got it figured out. I have solved all my arto, artarti, jigyasu. I have solved these issues. Then we have arrived. Arrived where? On the plateau. On a plateau which mostly is Shantaras. Have you seen people who went into Shantaras? You know what Shantaras means? You're okay, I'm okay. You know people like that? You're okay, I'm okay. But there's no real relationship. Why? Because there's no service attitude. It's just, yeah, everything's okay. There's no real interaction there. Okay, it's better than going into the big bad city and being a bad boy. It's better you stand in front of the Virat Rupa and you appreciate some trees and some lakes and some mountains and some, the sun and the moon and all that. But a person who has a little bit of piety, a little bit of sukriti, which comes from sadhu sangha, from being around sadhus and from doing seva, is thinking, wow, okay, wonderful. What can I do for Krishna? What is my service opportunity? Tomorrow is Balaram Purnima. And Balaram, he's Dauji, he's the older brother, right? And what does that mean, older brother? It means protection. It means creating an environment for Krishna's pleasure, for Krishna's enjoyment. Balaram is always concerned about that. How can I be of service? So sometimes he is protecting Krishna, sometimes he's instructing Krishna, sometimes he's fanning Krishna or giving him all sorts of comforts. In fact, everything that you see around the Lord is an expansion of Balaram. It's an expansion of his potency. The Lord's shoes, the Lord's Brahman thread, the Lord's asana, all these things. It's all the potency of Balaram. It's also the original spiritual master. Have you ever seen devotees who went into Shantaras with their guru? Yeah, he's okay, like he's there. He's in the picture. He's on the altar. But they're not so eager to meet him or to hear instructions from him. Why? Because guru may say something that I don't like so much. Have you seen this? No. You have a very, very strong and vibrant relationship with your Guru Maharaj. But sometimes it happens. Why? Because of too much material association, material desires. Then we think, oh, if I go to Gurudev will say things that I don't like or that I don't want to follow. So better not go. Better avoid. And thus, again, one becomes afflicted with the material nature. So here we hear about the Vaikuntha planets, about the beautiful trees who are producing fruits and flowers, not according to the order of the material energy, but according to the internal potency, the Hladini Shakti. And for that reason, they're all personal. there is no such thing as impersonalism. Because everything is person. Everything comes from a person. Some people may think, yeah, well, I open the tap and water comes out. No, why does that water come out? Any idea? As a child who is ignorant, basically, not much better than a little animal, thinks, yeah, everything happens automatically, right? There's water, there's food, there's clothes, there's electricity. But no, this all comes from somewhere. Someone put it there. Someone endeavored. Somebody planned. So devotee is a person who can see that connection and who can appreciate all these gifts. And then when we know who has provided all these gifts, we want to use all these different things in the service of the Lord. So one time, the devotees were doing Harinam Sankirtan in Navadvip, all over Mayapur with Nimai Pandit, and they ended up, as usual, at the house of Srivas Thakur, because that's where they had their nocturnal kirtan. The Prem Sankirtan was taking place every night at the house of Srivas Thakur. But at that point, when they got to the house of Srivas Thakur, some devotee thought, it'd be really nice to have mango. Do you like mangoes? Yeah? I'm not talking about these green rocks, that they're selling in the supermarket here in Denmark, and then you leave them and then they rot, No, I'm talking about real mango, but it was not mango season. So what do? So they gave a mango seed to Lord Chaitanya, to Nimai Pandit, and he put it in the ground. And in front of all the devotees, a mango tree grew in the courtyard of Srivas Thakur. And beautiful, fragrant fruits started to appear. Countless of them, red, yellow, orange, green, all different colors and shades. And they picked 200 of them and washed them and offered them to the Lord. And then they had a mango feast. Mahaprasade Govinde. That's when everybody wakes up, right? If you want to put people to sleep, what is the mantra? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, and for over a year, every day after the Sankirtan, they went to that spot and they had a mango festival. And those mangoes, they were so wonderful that they had no skin and no seed, only pulp. And only one fruit would fill the belly of a grown-up man. You want to taste those mangoes? You got to go to El Salvador, Central America. Best mangoes on the planet. Huh? What time of the year? We'll talk about that. So, now, Srila Prabhupada makes the point here that formlessness is something that's conceived of by impersonalists, but this is refuted in this verse. Sometimes people think the spiritual world is just some ominous void. It's just some bright light, and you just go there and you merge into the oneness, into the everything, or into the nothing, depending which school of thought that they come from, right? Nirvana. But that is refuted here in this verse. The spiritual world is not impersonal. There are trees, there are fruits and flowers, there are living entities, there are animals. And as Srila Prabhupada points out in the purport, that the trees, the people, the animals, everybody is spiritual. So there's no difference between them. Sometimes we use our anthropomorphism. We project the human mindset and qualities onto God or onto divinity, onto the spiritual world. And we think like, okay, I have to be what do you want to be? Any idea? No? Huh? Anybody has realized their Siddha Deha? No Siddha Pranali before breakfast? they think, no, I have to be a gopi, or I have to be a this, or I have to be a that. Shukadeva Goswami, he was a parrot. Not just any parrot. He was a parrot in the kunjas. In the kunjas of Radha and Krishna and the gopis. Madhavendra Puri, he was a kalpavriksha, a desire tree. So, if you want to have your spiritual desires fulfilled, a good way how to do that is to approach the lotus feet of the pure devotees. Pavat vidha bhagavatas tirtha bhuta svayam vivo tirti kurvanti tirtani svantakstena gadabrita. Yudhishthira Maharaj has welcomed Vidura back to the palace. He went on a japa walk for 20 years. You ever went for a japa walk? Yeah? Not just to Wendler's and back, but, he went for 20 years on a japa walk. And then he came back for one talk for his older brother, Dhritarashtra. And the lights went on, like here, the lights are a little bright. Maybe we can put some different types of lights in there. Because it's like in a stadium, you're like blinded. Everything is personal. We should not use too bright lights for the deities or, there's different ways how to do it. Just a detail. So, and Yudhishthira Maharaj, he glorified Vidura and he said, saints like you are verily holy places personified. Normally people go to holy places, they want to take Ganga Snan, they want to, bathe in the holy lakes and rivers. But that takes a long time to become purified. Why does it take a long time to become purified? Because after the bath, after Snan, what do people do? They go back to whatever they were doing before. So it's considered to be a bathing of the elephant. Which means the elephant goes, he takes a nice bath, then he comes out of the water, and what does he do? Taking sand and dirt and putting it all over himself and rolling in the dirt like that. So same old. In a similar way, people go to church, mosque, and temple, and after that, back to the old ways. Back to the bar, back to the restaurant, back to the gambling place, etc. So, but when you associate with the holiest of holy places, the lotus feet of the pure devotee like Srila Prabhupada, what does it mean to associate with Srila Prabhupada? What does it mean to associate with the pure devotee? We may think sometimes that it means that I'm physically close to him. I have to sit close to the Murti. Or I have to be, hanging out with my guru. Have you ever had that idea? Physical proximity does not mean association. If you're on the public train in India, there's a lot of physical proximity, right? You're hanging in the armpit of somebody. You get the nice VIP seat or standing place right in front of the bathroom. And there's a lot of troop movement. There's a lot going on. But actual association is defined as Dadhati pratigrinati guyamyakyati pritshati bhunkte bojayate chaiva sadvidim pritilakshanam. If you're doing any of these 6 things, and this is important, especially for householders, because this question always comes up. I got job, I got family, I have relatives, I have colleagues. They're not devotees. They're doing all the wrong things. But I have to spend time with them. Unless you're doing these 6 things, it's not considered association. Unless you're doing dadati pratigrinati, giving gifts, receiving gifts, giving prasad, receiving prasad, or sharing your mind, or giving counsel confidentially. If you're not doing these 6 things, it's just transaction. You're just in the marketplace. You're just at the water well, fetching water. But of course, the tendency is always there. Okay, people are there, so let's talk. And what do they talk about? Gramya Kata, gossip, politics, sports, business, etc. Not Krishna Kata. So that's why it's important that we associate with the Vani, with the instructions of the pure devotees. And that means you read Srila Prabhupada's books, you study them, and you apply them in your lives. Do you have an active program for reading Prabhupada's books? Yes, yes. Hopefully. If not, message to self. Read Prabhupada's books every day. Because a day without reading is a day wasted. We're doing so many things just to keep moving, keep things going in this world. But are we really going anywhere? Are we really moving forward? Haishtam yatat punarjanma jayaya. Are we coming closer to our actual objective of conquering over the repetition of birth and death? Are we making progress on that path? Or are we just accumulating more things and more money? It's interesting. Yesterday I was reading, in Islam there's something called zakat. Have you heard of zakat? It's called religious donation. Every pious Muslim is supposed to give 2.5% annually of his property in charity. And there are 8 different benefactors that are suitable to give this charity to. One of them is the traveler, one of them is the mendicant, a poor person, a sick person, etc. So, and it says that, why did we come to this point? What did we speak about before? Yes. Yes. Just accumulating more and more. And there it says, and this is from the Muslims, okay? They got a few things figured out. They're saying that if you don't do this, then whatever you're hoarding and accumulating, that will be your passage to hell. All your assets will actually be your toll fees to hell. So this is not a fundraiser. We're not, promoting here anything. We're just saying use your time, your energy, your resources wisely, consciously, because otherwise those things, those very things may turn against you and be the cause of your downfall. And we have seen, like people over-collecting. What is the example that's given in the Bhagavatam? That bee that is collecting more and more and more and more and more and more and more to the point where can't get out of the house anymore. Too much stuff. Have you seen people like that? Yeah? You have, right? They got a double garage. No cars in there. Only stuff. The cars are parked on the road, right? House full of stuff. Storage spaces rented out. Full of stuff. How much stuff do you need? Gets a little stuffy, right? So, as devotees, we should keep our life simple. Not that you have 5 of this and 8 of that and 10 of that and, just in case. Simple life. After all, if you have a desire tree, what more do you need? A desire tree can fulfill all your desires. So if we associate with Srila Prabhupada, the pure devotee, and his instructions, by following these instructions, it will fulfill all our real desires in life. Is that an exaggeration? No? Why not? But what if he doesn't give me what I want? What do you do then? Well, sometimes you go to the pure devotee and you have a certain idea and you try to formulate it in a smart way to get what you want. Have you ever been in such a situation? You can't go straight out and say, hey, I'm in Maya. This is what I really want. But I'm going to, put it in a way that sounds really spiritual. Have you seen that? Some people always asking their question, their same question, but in 1,000 different ways, trying to shop for their answer. Yes, Gurudev, he said, this is perfect. I'm doing the right thing. See you next year. And they'll ask the same question again. So, we have to be careful and we have to be conscious. That's why it's important to have satsang, to discuss these topics, because otherwise we may all of a sudden find ourselves somewhere in the offside, somewhere away from devotees. So here we see how the spiritual world is being described by Lord Brahma, and he's speaking about these beautiful desire trees who are giving fruits and flowers very selflessly at any time of the year, and how everything is personal. There is no such thing as impersonalism. Everything is coming from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and by appreciating that, we can actually enter into the mood of Vaikuntha. Means no fear, no anxiety. Have you ever had fear? No? You're all Vikings, right? Vikings don't have any fear, right? There's nothing to be afraid of. Huh? No, everybody's got some fear, right? Some fear, some anxiety. But when we actually enter into this mood of selfless service, there is no more fear. Jai Shishigonitai Ki Jai. Why is there no more fear? Because we understand Bhoktaram Yagatapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram Suridam Sarvabhutanam Gyatvamam Shanti. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Richati. Without peace, there is no happiness. Have you noticed? If you're not peaceful, there's no real happiness. If you're fearful, if you're in anxiety, there is no real happiness. How do you get fearless? By reading Bhagavad Gita, by understanding Krishna is the proprietor, he's the well-wishing friend, he's the benefactor and the beneficiary, the benefactor of all sacrifices and all austerities. Then we become peaceful. So that means taking ourselves out of the center and recognizing that Krishna is the center. Then we become peaceful. Have you noticed when you try to strive for sense gratification, how life becomes miserable? Anyone noticed? Exceedingly difficult, right? But as soon as we make plans for service, things become very agreeable, very peaceful. Because we realize, okay, this is not in my hands, but I try to be of service. I try to help. Just like when Lord Chaitanya came back from his South India tour, he came back to Jagannath Puri. Then he told the devotees that this Kala Krishna Das, I don't need him anymore, because he got into some bad association by some gypsies, patataris, and they captured him, and Lord Chaitanya went there and dragged him back. And it was almost an altercation, almost a fight there. So he said, I have no use for this person. He cannot be with me. So then, the next day, Nityananda, Swarup Damodar, Mukunda, and Jagadananda went to Lord Chaitanya. And they said, we need one person to go to Navadvip to tell your mother, Sachi, that you have returned from your big travel. Can we send somebody? And Lord Chaitanya said, yes, you can. Now, who did they send? Who did they send? Kala Krishnadas. The one who just had been rejected the day before by Lord Chaitanya. They sent him on this mission. Why? Because the devotees want everyone to be engaged in service. And they're very kind, they're very considerate. Vancha kalpa tarubhyascha. They knew the heart of Kala Krishnadas, that he was very, very sorry, remorseful, repentant, and feeling very depressed because Lord Chaitanya had rejected him. Because the Lord has to be strict in order to show, okay, this is wrong and this is the right way. So the devotees were more merciful than the Lord. Of course, His divine grace. Who is His divine grace? Sometimes people ask, right? How can this person be so proud to have such a pompous title? Huh? Whose divine grace is it? Whose grace is it? Krishna's grace, yes. Thank you. Also, His holiness, His grace. That's all Krishna's. That's all Krishna's. It's important to be aware of that. So we can see how the devotees are very kind and they're always making plans how we can engage the living entities, and including myself. I'm also a living entity. I'm also a jiva. How can we engage everybody in Krishna's service? And that is very pleasing to the Lord. That attracts the attention. That captures the mind of Krishna. That's why when, like Srila Prabhupada said, in Mayapur, Srimati Radharani, she's got this pose. What does that mean? Sridhar? This pose. What does it mean? This mudra. What does it mean? Radha Madhava? Anybody? What does it mean? What does this mudra stand for? Nritya. She's dancing. And whenever Srimati Radharani is dancing, Krishna cannot leave. He's mesmerized. He's captivated. He's captured. His mind is captured. So in a similar way, if you want to have Krishna's attention, engage yourself and others in devotional service, and Krishna will pay attention. Because that is what attracts him. Bhakti is what attracts him. Bhava grahi janardam. He's attracting the essence. And the essence, what is the essence? The essence is bhava. What is your bhava? Is it achyuta bhava? Or is it asura bhava? What is your bhav? That depends on our sangha. That depends on our activities. Questions, comments, or reflections? Yes?
Prabhu said that Shuka is the parrot from Radha. Shukadeva Goswami is the parrot from Radha originally.
Shukadeva Goswami?
Yeah. That's what you said.
He's a parrot.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the spiritual world.
Yeah,
Kunjas.
Yeah, but you know, can you give any references to that from Shastra or something like that? Because I couldn't find nowhere.
Couldn't find nowhere? No. You have read all the books?
I mean, Prabhupada's, yes.
Huh?
Prabhupada's, yes. But my spiritual master also, there is no...
Shukamukhat dravyasam yutam pibata bhagavatam rasamalayam muhur muho bhuvibhavuka nigamakal pataror galitam phalam shukamukhat dravyasam yutam pibata bhagavatam rasamalayam muhur muho bhuvibhavuka. Does it sound familiar? First few verses of the Bhagavatam? Read the purport. Shuka, the parrot, the beak of the parrot who touches that mango, who makes it even sweeter. That we are so fortunate. We have the commentaries of all our acharyas. Sometimes people say, no, me and God, direct. Direct. Okay, if you're a Chataki bird, you want to go direct into the cloud, fine. But you also get the lightning and the thunder. Can you handle that? So we're very fortunate because we have Guru Parampara. We have all these great saints and sages and mahants who have given us their realization, their nectar, their ecstasy. And now we have the distilled essence. What is that? The distilled essence? Nectar, honey, amrit. Why? Who likes honey here? Maduram, maduram, maduram. Huh? Anybody? Honey? Good? Yeah, tomorrow. Varuni. Okay? Balaram. Huh? So why do you like honey? Do you like honey? What's your language? What's your language? Okay. So, why you like honey? Yeah, but so many things are sweet. Huh? What is the speciality of honey? Okay, fine. What else? Concentrate. Like you mean like the orange juice you buy at the supermarket from concentrate, reconstituted? No. It's the essence of all the flowers, all the fruits, all the vegetables, all the nectar combined. It's pretty nice, right? Huh? That's why it's actually medicine. Huh? It's a tonic. Rasayana. Always honey is there. Huh? Ayurvedic medicine, always with honey. So we have that because all the acharyas, they have collected the nectar from all the scriptures. Nana Shastra Vicharanaika Nipuno Sadharma Samstapako. As we heard this morning. Lokanam Hitakarino Tribhuvane Manya Sharanya Karo Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghuyago Sri Jiva Gopalako. Yet serving the devotees who are present will give us the adhikar, or the right kind of qualification, the right kind of attitude to actually access the teachings of the Guru Parampara. Because if we can't appreciate the devotees who are here, how can we actually appreciate our teachers and their teachings? Not very much, right? So, are you satisfied?
Yeah, because no, it's not mine, because I heard from my Guru Maharaj that he said there is no really evidence in Shastra that Shuka is the parrot from Kunja.
Okay, you can do some research. You can do some research on it. Sridhar, research department. Give him the pramana. Okay? It's right there in the beginning, first few verses of the Bhagavatam. I just started. No need to be confused. Other questions or comments? We got 3 minutes. Or we quit early. There's always different options. Yes.
As time goes by, we see more and more books are written by different devotees. And for example, when you see the book table in London, it's like from Devamrita Swami and from...
Yeah, no need to mention names. There are different books by different authors.
So is it okay to distribute these books if they are connected to the Guru Parampara, or should we focus only on distributing Srila Prabhupada's books?
Well, there's unity in diversity. Srila Prabhupada gave us the formula. So there is a law that 80% should be Prabhupada's books, and then 20% can be others. But these books obviously have to be like a bridge books, to bring people to Prabhupada's books. So if that balance is being maintained, it's fine. But if some people say, I only distribute my book, my own book, or my guru's book, or whichever book is cheapest, or wherever I can make the most profit, then it's not really the right type of mindset. Sometimes people have this idea, if I just print something and then I don't have to pay the tax man, the BBT tax man, I can avoid that. I can be smarter. But what happens when you don't pay the Krishna tax? What happens? You're not really going far. You're not going to do much of impact. Why? Because you're not really understanding how things work. That everything comes from Krishna. And by doing yajna, we're actually not losing, we're actually gaining. So it's not this or that, but it's and. They're not mutually exclusive, but we have to know the right kind of balance. And that takes a little bit of education, and unfortunately that education is oftentimes missing, and thus people end up with indigestion. Just like in a meal, there has to be balance. If you only eat chili, does it work? For some it might, huh? But not for your normal person. There has to be balance. And that's the main topic of the Bhagavad Gita, yuktahara viharasya. So we have to be balanced. When we're extremists, when we're fanatics, then we get out of balance and things go a little topsy-turvy. So keep your balance. It's wonderful that there are so many authors and so many. Prabhupada wanted people to write. He wanted people to publish, and yet we have to understand what is our pramana. Srimad Bhagavatam, Purana Mamalam, Yad Vaishnavanam Priyam. We have to understand what is our foundation.